you keep having sort of explicit white supremacists who have, on secret message boards who work for you, and you have to. I know this has been very painful for you in some cases.
I've never even met a white supremacist.
You have these folks. You have folks who have posted. You have a large number of people. Scott Greer, Blake Neff. I'm just curious why you've been sort of flypaper for these people on your staff.
You're not asking me a question.
That was the question. Why have you been flypaper for these racists?
I've never had a white supremacist work for me. I don't think I've ever talked to a white supremacist. Please let me finish.
And I don't want to fight about labels. White supremacist. Why have you been?
All right, people. Hyper multitasking. Trying to listen to this. In my ear, I am hearing now the court hearing for what should be, I'm going to just bring this out, for what should be the ruling in Tamara Lich. Bail breach, alleged bail breach. Okay, I'll do all the standard disclaimers afterwards. The hearing is live now in my ear. Cannot rebroadcast any video, audio of this hearing. This hearing is the reading of the judgment as to whether or not Tamara Litch is going to go back to jail, or has breached the terms of her bail. There is echo. I know there's going to be echo. I can't do anything about it. Mic check. Is it better if I really get up and eat the mic? Is it better like this? I can't do anything about the echo because there's nothing in this room. Reverb. Okay. So maybe if I talk like this, is this better? Is this better? Tamara Litch, the judge is reading the ruling. For anybody who doesn't know, she was arrested and detained for now 10 days for an alleged breach of her bail release, which consisted of taking a photograph with an individual that she was not supposed to interact directly or indirectly with on release. I'm nervous. I actually am nervous like I was the last time. So I'm going to eat the mic. I'm going to eat this mic. If it's better, seriously, if it's better when I push my face into it. Okay, the judge is warning the courtroom now to maintain decorum, or they could face contempt. The judge is reading his decision on the hearing, which was pleaded on Tuesday. The judge is summarizing the procedure. They've made the request to have Tamara Litch present today, and she is present in person. The Crown has petitioned the court to cancel all previous releases. I'm live streaming on Rumble right now. I'll get to the standard disclaimer super chats afterwards. The judge is asking the clerk to read the charges. Asking the clerk to read all of the charges. And by the way, I'm going to get panels for this room, sound panels, because it's an empty information 22-R1, the charges against her. She's charged on the first day of December, 2021, February 28. Indictable offense of mischief. Advising one or more persons contrary to the section of the criminal code. Mischief. Further charged, first day of December and February whatever. City of Ottawa. counsel to commit the indictable offense of intimidation. Section 464A Criminal Code. Further charged. These are the underlying charges. Not an ad. Obstructing police is her third indictable offense. By the way, these could also be summary conviction, which would be a lesser offense. Nope, they went with indictment. January 2022 and February in the city of Ottawa, willfully obstruct a police officer in the execution of his duty. Yeah. Okay, obstructing an officer. I think that's perjury-ish during the bail hearing. They're in 2022 now. These were the additional charges. Wrongfully without lawfully authority. Caused one or more persons from abstaining from doing what they were lawfully obliged or authorized to do. Block or obstruct. Block or obstruct one or more. Oh God, did you say highways? I think she said highways. January 2022 and February 2022 in the city of Ottawa, East Region. Mischief. Section, whatever, in the criminal code. Mischief. Counseling to obstruct. Okay, so those are the underlying charges. And now we're getting to the new charges. It would be a joke if it were funny. It's terrible. They're reading the newer, non-trumped up charges. Being at large on a release order. Fail without lawful excuse to comply with that release order. Meaning, to not contact or communicate directly or indirectly, physical or other means with the following people, one of whom is Tom Marazzo. I'm not going to name the names because I don't know if there's a publication ban on any of the names. I don't think there is, but one of them is Tom Marazzo. That's the one that's clearly not subject. Got a pain in my stomach, actually, like a physical pain in my stomach right now. Tom Marazzo, the clerk said Tom Mazzaro. Except through counsel. Can't contact directly or indirectly. Tom Marazzo, except through counsel. But I'm not sure if it said except through counsel or except in the presence of counsel. I'm going to see if they correct that. Where's there no sound? You're not hearing any of this because you're not. I can't rebroadcast any portion of this. Yeah, the echo. I can't do anything about the echo for the time being. I can do MSR if I have the mic directly like this. Oh yeah, Viva ASMR and a little bit of what's the word I'm looking for? Radio voice. We can hear you. Good. Mic closer, door open. You don't want me to open that door. Sorry. So I've got in my left ear the Zoom meeting. Judge is reading it. Clears his throat. He says the judge says before we go further, there's 2 limited publication bans. He's going to mention the sections of the code. Okay, there's some publication bans which I'm not even going to walk the line in mentioning what the bans are, but okay, so there's certain apps, publication ban on the CERTI and another individual involved. ban on the identity of the surety and Ms. Litch's daughter. So, everyone out there, err on the side of caution. 20 exhibits the judge is referring to. TikTok videos. Crown provided 20 additional exhibits. Defense provided the court with surety affidavits. Okay, his judge says, as noted in exhibit number 8. I'll just do this here. Okay. I'm going to fix the angle too, eventually. This is all temporarily set up. I got a vent, breathing cold air on my back. So I'm going to fix all this up, but at least I've got high-speed fiber optic internet. Booyah. So the judge is going to get it right. I can feel it in my palms because they're cold but not wet. Okay, so the judge is going to start reading the judgment soon. Karimji's in the house. What did I just do here? And I've said this and I'll say it again. Karimji deserves sua sponte court sanctions. Karimji, I know people are saying nowhere close to malicious prosecution. I disagree. Malicious prosecution is something so out of the norm, so disproportionate. Okay, judge is reading. Section 524, subsection 3. Okay, the judge is reading. Okay, he's reading a link of sorts. There's a lot of slashes. Oh, section. Okay, he's reading the sections of the criminal code. Yeah, there you go. That's it. Thank you. So now the judge is summarizing. He's reading the law. They can cancel her release if they find that she's breached the terms of her release, bail. If there are reasonable grounds to conclude that she's committed an indictable offense related. That being said, as exhibit number 18, he says that there's proof enough that an offense has been committed. Oh, okay. I thought he just said that it was granted as per the request of the Crown. It wasn't. Okay, so he's just setting the positions of the parties. I thought he just said that he was granting it as per what the Crown requested, and my stomach fell. Summarizing who Tamara Lich is, he says, positive note, you don't have a criminal record. You're a mother, grandmother. He says there were some previous decisions made by other justices. He said she's appeared before 3 different judges. You'd think she committed murder. Yeah, it's. She was detained by Justice Bourgeois, which means a bourgeois. Released on a surety. The judge has not ruled yet. Holy cows, did I misunderstand for a second? Okay. Now he's going over the Johnston order, which was the release of Tamara Litch, which said, he says Judge Johnson was impressed by the new surety, wasn't convinced she was, reasonably going to spend that much time in jail, if I'm understanding correctly. I can't. So now he's talking about the bail review in front of Justice Phillips. And that was when the Crown moved to have her locked up again. Okay, so Justice Phillips was another judge, de novo assessment from scratch. Phillips let her out, said there was no substantial likelihood of recommission, and to ensure the public's ensured confidence in the judicial system, Phillips released. He released Leach on the same terms as the previous release, which was Justice Johnson. Okay. The judges commending the 3 previous hard decisions of the previous justices. He's got to be flattering to those he's going to disagree with. So I think this is going well. 4th time, he says, that Lich is appearing before the court. Why are we here, he says, again. That's the question we're asking. Before he answers it, he's going back to the decision. Before we answer that, he's going to go back to Justice Phillips' decision, justifying her release. It says, it was intended to ensure people would not lose faith in the justice system and that it was proportionate. And he's saying basically the previous judge released her, said she should go. But it reiterated the previous judge's terms. And now he's saying, but it included the provision not to communicate directly or indirectly with a number of people. Number of names, more names. And Tom Morazzo, they can't get his name right. Except through counsel or in the presence of counsel, the judge just said. And that was what I pulled out, noted on when the clerk was saying it, because the clerk did not say or in the presence of counsel, and I thought that was one of the terms. The Crown is alleging, and he's quoting directly from the Crown's position, directly. On June 16, 2022, Tamara Lich attended Toronto to go to the JCCF George Jonas Award. During this gala, Lich can be observed sitting at a table with Tom Morazzo. She received the award, returned to the table. It's observed that she interacted with Tom Morazzo. It was captured on video and posted on Facebook. Furthermore, throughout the evening, they posed for a photograph. And it was posted on Facebook. Okay, the judge invites all interested parties to read it. Says, in addition to the charge, the Crown also submits that new information should be considered. Okay, new information. Winston is nervous because he farted. Okay, so new information. Oh, that's right. The text messages between Tamara and another individual where they talk about a plan to gridlock the nation's capital. And apparently these text messages are old text messages. The judge said, now the Crown has chosen to proceed by indictment. No. Now they're saying, now the judge is basically saying the defense now has the reverse onus to show why she should not be locked up, which is a reversal of the principle of criminal justice. In short, Ms. Leach must prove to the court why she should be released yet again. This is a bail hearing and not a trial, the judge says. He's not here to judge the alleged breach or determine if further charges are warranted. He says, I am here to determine that Ms. Leach can be released. This court recognizes the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms. She's presumed to be innocent and can be released if the court determines the person is releasable. So they're talking about the terms of release. The plan of release is basically reiterating the old plan. I just put it back on slow mode, people. Sorry. Keep the peace, 5,000 bond, reside at her address in Alberta, not contact directly or indirectly in the absence of counsel with the other parties. And they're naming the names. So basically what he's summarizing the defense position, release her again under the same terms, because she didn't breach them, by the way. That's going to be the bottom line. Malicious prosecution by the Crown is what this is. She's not allowed posting on social media. Okay, they're just going over the terms of the last release. Social media ban, not to allow anyone else to post messages on social media on her behalf, yada, yada, yada. And she can't express approval for future protests. Can't organize public protest or demonstration or lawful assembly. She can't participate in any public protest in respect to anything related to the COVID-19 pandemic. The Freedom Convoy. Yeah. And then the final condition, not to attend the limited area in Ottawa. How ridiculous is this? It's fucking ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. So he just summarized the plan put forward. He says there is a surety that has been proposed. He's identifying two areas of concern with the surety. He doesn't find it troubling enough to warrant disqualification of the surety. So he's talking about the manner in which the surety put up the amount of money. Okay, so it's a non-issue, but the surety said, I put up a non-refundable deposit as the surety. And they asked, and she said, I did that. The surety said, I did that with an RSP or whatever funds. And the court examining her said, well, how did you do that if it's with retirement funds or whatever? And the surety then acknowledged the monies came from different places, and I think from her parents. Just a question of how she came up with the money. Now the judge just asked if the surety is online, and they said yes. If this is malicious prosecution, can she sue? She can, but we'll see. It would help, in my mind, if the Crown gets reprimanded by the judge, if only verbally. Secondary grounds of release. Is there a substantial likelihood that she'll commit a criminal offense or interfere with the administration of justice if released? Secondary ground justifies continued detention, according to the Crown. Okay, they're talking about likelihood of reoffending. So they're discussing whether or not she would be a risk if released. And if they determine that she might be a risk, then she must convince the court that if released, she won't be participating in unlawful activity. Okay, the judge is going over the law. In reviewing the secondary grounds, many conditions are considered. Many factors considered, such as accused criminal record, non-compliance with previous orders, which is good for Tamara. The nature of the offense, good for Tamara. The stability of the accused, good for Tamara. And also the plan of release, good for Tamara. She's going to get a good decision today after 10 days in jail, is the way I'm seeing this. The judge says detention may be ordered if it is required to retain confidence in the judicial system. Having regard to all circumstances, including the strength of the Crown's position. Circumstances surrounding the offense, whether or not a firearm was used, etc., etc. Okay, they're talking about if there is a firearm involved. What if an independent reporter interviews her? Is that not allowed? They can legally stop the press. They can legally prevent her from giving an interview. They couldn't stop someone from interviewing her, but they could stop her from answering, from being able to speak. It's a gag order. Okay, they got the tertiary ground analysis. Now the judge has said, he says, let's set the scene here with the facts. I'm so neurotic that somehow the audio is going to be able to be heard somehow. The new evidence is Exhibit 17. And I'm not sure, the text messages. The new evidence is old evidence, by the way. Yeah. Someone's phone just went off, and it's not mine. I'm not there. Okay. New evidence, Exhibit 17, old text messages, I think. He's reading the text message between Lich. He's saying Lich, by the way, so. The text message says they have a strategy to gridlock the city. This is obviously old. Then Litch says, okay. That's part of the new evidence, but it's old evidence. And then now he's getting to the alleged breach, which is the 5-second video at the JCCF award, George Jonas Award. Maxime Bernier, he says it includes notable personalities. Maxime Bernier, his wife, Rex Murphy at the table with Tamara Litch. Sweat Melissa, this is even justice is still going to be an injustice now. Thank you, Modema. He says no other people at the table have been identified as legal counsel, or should I say more specifically, legal counsel for Ms. Litch. He says she received the award undoubtedly in support of her actions during the protest. She proceeds to give a short acceptance speech. Round of applause. Then she returns to her seat. She passes by Marazzo, touching him on the back, then whispers something in his ear. That exchange lasts less than 3 seconds, and I think I heard an emphasis. Now they're talking about the photograph. So I think the judge just emphasized less than 3 seconds. I hope that I'm not hearing things. He says there's a photograph. None of them in the photograph are identified as legal counsel. And I don't like that. I don't like that, but in applying the 4 essential elements, tertiary grounds, so you look at the strength of the case in relation to the substantive charge, refers to the text about gridlocking the nation's capital. And then he goes to so you have the underlying mischief offense, the text message, and the breach, the image, and the video. He says no direct testimony has been provided to confirm the presence of counsel. He says, I believe the Crown has a strong case to prove the alleged breach, although the presence of counsel could be a defense. I don't like the way this is going. He says, it's the Crown's position that the severity of the breach could result in 10 years in prison. Says no firearm was used in the offense, yada, yada, yada. All of a sudden, it doesn't sound so good. In the case of the breach, she's alleged to have communicated and touched Marazzo. Tamara in the text message said they have a strategy to gridlock the city, and I do not want to make those decisions on my own. But that's old evidence. He's saying no firearm was used. But the Crown has indicated the potential for a sentence of greater than 3 years for what Tamara did. She's alleged to have flaunted her opportunity to receive the award. Furthermore, Ms. Leach chose to sit at a table with a gentleman that she's not supposed to have contact with. The Crown has asked the question, how can the public have any confidence in the administration of justice when Ms. Leach, he says it this way, Lich, flaunts the terms of her release, which she was ordered not to do? The Crown argues that her inculpatory statement that she doesn't want to make that decision should result in her being locked up and detained. These are his concluding statements. He's summarizing the defense. They vigorously defended their client. Okay, about the text messages. It says the text messages attributed to Ms. Litch are not conclusive. He's citing the defense's position, and Tamara Litch was in the presence of counsel when she interacted with Marazzo. And now the defense also says it was minimal, if any. Minimal breach, if any. 3 seconds. De minimis. Says, so he says de minimis, the idea is it's de minimis copyright violation as well. If you used so little, it's irrelevant. If it's such a minimal breach, the law is not interested. Stealing a penny from someone, unless it's a 1936 penny with a dot underneath, irrelevant. And they're saying it's such a meaningless, insignificant breach, even if it's a breach, that even if it is a breach, it should be considered serious enough to warrant anything. And now the court says, though, we only saw one-way communication of what Litch said to Marazzo. He says, in the absence, with respect to the mens rea argument, the court finds it to be a faulty argument. She chose to sit at the table. The court also finds that there was no presence of counsel and that there was no counsel in the photo. The court, with respect to the text messages, the court says she was a decision maker. The actions are troubling in the face of the events of February of 2021. The communications indicate that she might have been a leader of some sorts. And to be determined how critical a role she played. I hope this is clear enough, people. The judge said, with respect to the absence of mens rea argument from the defense, they're not convinced. The court just took judicial notice of the chaos caused by the protests last February. The city was forced to expend great sums of money and resources. And the city gridlock, I mean, I don't think the judge was there if he refers to city gridlock. He says Ms. Litch will have to answer at some point for her involvement. And now he says, with respect to the release, it is a reversal of the onus situation. Tamara does have to prove that there is no substantial likelihood that she'll reoffend. Although dated, the new evidence indicates Tamara's involvement as a decision maker. Although dated, although it's old, although the protest has now ended, freedom protests continue. And I'm sure throughout other cities in Canada and the world, Judge, and the world. So she continues to pose a risk, according to the judge. He says she was given permission to attend the awards show. He says it stands to reason that the permission given did not authorize her to sit at the table of Marazzo. It didn't envision that. Such actions must certainly erode the public's confidence in the administration of justice. He says her attendance This court finds her attendance problematic. The vulnerable victims of the Freedom Convoy will undoubtedly continue to fear a reoccurrence of the protest if persons such as Tamara and Marazzo are continued to allowed to socialize in whatever way they want. The court concludes that she has not met her onus on secondary grounds and finds in favor of the Crown's arguments. This court has been provided with concrete evidence of her decision-making and her decision to gridlock the Capitol. And there's evidence of the breach of the non-contact. The evidence presents for a strong Crown case. Now the judge, he's going to address the de minimis. De minimis should not even be before the courts. It's this court's belief that although the contact in the video short and passing, one cannot overlook the overall impact of her attending the gala. The gravity of the seriousness of the breach is evidenced by her actions and shows that she's not prepared to abide by court orders and do whatever she's prepared to do whatever she wants, including choosing not to adhere to the no contact reiterated by Justice Phillips. I can't believe this. I can't believe this. Now he's talking about whether or not she's susceptible to a lengthy prison term. There's no firearm. We've heard that, Judge. However, from a circumstantial standpoint, Ms. Litch was allowed to attend the awards show with the expectation that she would abide by the terms of release. We now have video photograph evidence that she did not. The potential, and he stresses the word potential, for a lengthy term has been identified by the Crown to be around the 10-year mark. Mischief. He says he finds it cumulatively, she's not met her onus. Cumulatively, she has not met her onus. Oh, he says that she was allowed to attend this awards ceremony to celebrate her actions for an event that placed the citizens of Ottawa in a continued state of fear. After giving a short speech, Ms. Litch then chooses to communicate with Marazzo. Then, to add even more fuel to the fire, this is what the judge just said, she chooses to pose with a photo. From the perspective of a common person, one would find this puzzling in light of the existing non-contact provision of her bail release. Ms. Litch has chosen to exercise her freedom by not respecting the no contact, and she did it in such a fashion to flaunt her actions with the misguided excuse of having counsel present. Holy shizzle. The non-contact, he's suggesting why it exists. It's to prevent co-accused from communicating, except, he says, it's absolutely ridiculous. He says it's absolutely ridiculous to think that the no contact rule of the release could be superseded by presence of counsel. He says your detention is necessary to retain confidence in the system. They're detaining her. She's staying in jail until the hearing on the merits. She will be remanded back into custody. This is well, there won't be sanctions against Moise Karimji. You won't sanction the winning party for malicious prosecution. There will never be malicious prosecution. Any chance that Tamara ever had for malicious prosecution has been eviscerated by this court ruling. And this is outrageous. Miscarriage. I did not expect it. I'm at a loss for words. It's beyond shocking. Canada has become a North Korean style dictatorship. This should be on Fox News. This should be on Tucker Carlson. They are continuing to detain Tamara Lich because of the photograph and the the judge is now addressing her. You haven't met your onus. You'll be returning to court on the 14th of July. Judge is asking that the court be cleared. I'll talk about this afterwards in a second. They're going back to the normal docket. No, the judge wanted to have her there in person so he could say it to her face. The judge, by the way, because she wasn't allowed in to court the other day because she refused to submit to a COVID test, the judge made sure that she was there today in person, not to release her, to send her back to jail. Now there's some left. I'm just going to hear what's going on just in case. Now they're laughing. Now everybody's having a yucky time. Yucking it up. Yuck it up, fuzzballs. Well, this is also extremely terrible precedent for Pat King. This is the judges, by the way, someone pointed it out before. They're not elected. They're political appointees. I don't know who this judge is, and I don't know who appointed him. There's no other word. It's just disgusting. Now just hear some judge says we'll go off record, and they're going to go back to the other stuff that they had on the docket. Can you imagine how good Moise Karimji feels right now? Can you imagine how despicably good he must feel about himself right now? Willing executioners. Thanking everybody. She's gone back to jail. The hearing will be next week, July 14th. Now the judge makes a joke with the clerk, I guess. How was that? I got done in time. Yeah. Let's yuck it up while we haul an innocent woman to jail. Yeah, it's done. Okay. No one is safe in Canada. If anyone thinks that's being hyperbolic, no one is safe in Canada. And and I'll say trolls in the crowd, in the chat, lock her up, lock her up. You think anyone is safe in Canada when it was a peaceful and it was not an unlawful protest? And that's not me talking. That was the judge who issued the first injunctive order in that civil suit. Said what you cannot do, and to the extent that you abide by this court order, you can continue to peacefully and lawfully protest. There was no order of the court, no piece of legislation that determined that protest was unlawful. No one was smashing windows. They were shoveling snow. No one was burning cars. They were salting sidewalks. No one was setting fires. Sorry, let me rephrase. There were campfires. There were bouncy castles, hot tubs. The city was not gridlocked. Sorry. The city was not gridlocked. And any court that takes judicial notice of the fear of the citizens and the gridlock of the city, you've taken judicial notice of fake information. Maybe some people were scared. I'll say that anyone who says they were scared, lived in fear, is lying, or probably is scared of their shadow. The gridlock of the city, I drove there to document the nonviolence, to interview the citizens, who confirmed that they were not scared, and other than some noise for the first few days, maybe the first week, it was not that bad. I drove there, never gridlocked. I was in and out. I parked on Eglinton every day. I didn't hit a lick of traffic. I parked on Eglinton, right across the street from the subway. Not the subway, the metro, but the subway, the sandwich place. And I walked the 3 blocks to the protest. And you couldn't even hear the horns honking when I went there the first few days when they were honking horns, until you got within a couple of blocks. This is the biggest load of crap I've ever seen in my life. This is why I can't practice law actively. This is why I can't stomach law. I can't live with this type of injustice. I can't stomach this type of injustice. I can't stomach the fact that this is a cut and dry, obvious case. And not only did it not go the way it should have gone, it went the exact way it should not have gone. Evil has been rewarded because I truly believe Moise Karimji has evil intentions. Justin Trudeau sitting there rubbing his hands, must be happier than a pig in filth. No politician or man shall tell any woman what she can and cannot do with her body. Straight to jail, Tamara. This is in my life, I'm just trying to think. In my life in Canada, have I seen more of an injustice than this entire I can't think of any. I cannot think of a bigger injustice, not just to an individual people, because this is not Tamara. People have been wrongly imprisoned many times for many reasons. Usually it involves some form of malicious prosecution, underlying biases, or whatever. This is victimizing Tamara, the judicial system, and the nation of Canada. Canada, and I'm not saying Canadians, and I'm not saying peace-loving Canadians, and I'm not saying the citizens that were vocal are victims of this government. The entity, the governmental entity that is Canada, is an absolute disgrace, should be mocked thoroughly by everyone in this world. I've got to tell you, North Korea, Kim Jong-un, Vladimir Putin should be looking at Canada right now and saying, Doctor, heal thyself before you ever dare criticize Putin for locking up journalists, criticize North Korea for sentencing a thief, an alleged thief, to 13 years hard labor after a 1-hour trial. This is a warning for all Canadians not to speak up against the Trudeau government. Understand, people, what is happening. I don't know if I'm causing too much echo. Tamara Lich is going back to jail because she went to an award ceremony that a previous judge authorized her to go to, took a picture with Tom Marazzo, someone who she was not supposed to communicate directly or indirectly with in the absence of counsel, at a gala organized by her counsel. She whispered in his ear something which we don't know what it was. In a 3-second video, she flaunted her freedom to the world, such that the terrorized innocent civilians of Ottawa who were victimized by this, and by the way, the judge is probably just talking about himself. I felt scared. Scared. It has to have a W in it. Like a 3-year-old kid. I felt scared. The cars were honking. It was an egregious act of disrespect. Flaunting her freedom, pulling down the pants and defecating on the judicial system that warrants, it's going to be 11 days now. It'll be 2 more weeks, 1 month plus, detaining a Métis woman, mother, grandmother, over mischief charges and alleged breaches that are so de minimis, but for this, no one would have known that they occurred. They're worse than breaking my brain. They broke my spirit. I mean, I'm not exaggerating. This is inconceivable. Not a police state. This is not what was supposed to happen in a free country. This should be Tucker Carlson, Steve Bannon, the only people who are going to care. Can you imagine if they were to have locked up any other type of protester for this extended period of time? There was an injunction once upon a time prohibiting indigenous protests on the railways. The injunction was violated. The police were not enforcing it. Nobody went to jail because that's cool to protest. It's cool to protest indigenous rights. That's why ultra woke Justin Trudeau included it as an exception to the protests that would be authorized, notwithstanding the invocation of the Emergencies Act. It's cool to protest for indigenous rights. Protest for your own constitutional rights, even if you're Métis, half indigenous, half European, not so cool. The indigenous protests where they were what's the word I'm looking for? Blockading railways across Canada. I don't think anybody went to jail for that. Canada is not a free country. Canada is a banana republic with kangaroo courts being governed by a fascist dictator tyrant that is Justin Trudeau, and he's got all of his henchmen doing his dirty work for him, from the prosecutor to the system, right down the line, to the police who came in armored vehicles, assaulted hero war veterans. And you want to talk about terrorizing people? Terrorized and brutalized its citizenry, who were doing nothing more than peacefully protesting for their constitutional rights. This is an absolute outrage. It's an absolute outrage. Yeah. Okay, I got 17 super chats. Let's just see this here. I'm gonna digest this. Studying Winston's bowel movements like reading tea leaves, say experts. Well, he's had some changes to diet, so that explains a few things. Any chance for an imitation of a voice like Dr. Ruth? Now the judge was just, I'm a U.S. citizen and I feel uncomfortable watching this. I'm a Canadian citizen and I feel sick. I'm sick to my stomach. It's just sick. It's Canada is a banana republic with kangaroo courts and a fascist dictator for a leader. Even in the States, I've never agreed with the standards of criminal law changing. In essence, denial of bail is pre-evidentiary, pre-trial confinement for nonviolent offenses. Silly, pure politics. Now my nerves are on edge. How about a bar on further political and malicious prosecutions and bogus attacks on her bail terms? Even a good result is tainted by the process. Well, now we know, enlightened despot, it was not a good outcome. She will not be able to sue for malicious prosecution now. Dutch farmers got their inspiration from Winston, say experts, expressed discontent by spraying everything with manure. These lawyers are going to have to chew the judge out, or else you have no foothold for any reason. They have to accept they will be in contempt and jailed. Anyone doubt moving out of Canada is a very smart move. Fascism and show trials for political persecutions are in. Soon only revolution. I'm not going to read it. I'm not your buddy guy, but sorry, just going to get through these here. Hello to the venerable and veridical Viva and your vivacious, valorous, and vigilant chat. You're all VIPs. Forced name change, thank you. And then we got Bear Lamb. As a Canadian, I'm very angered. This country is unfair. Those judges were elected by the Liberal Party. That's biased. I don't know who the judge was elected by, but it doesn't. They are indebted to the system. And I don't know what I don't even know what. I feel stupid saying it. I don't know what sort of pardon system there is. Even if conservatives compensate, this is egregious. This is back to jail. The worst thing about escaping an abusive and emotionally gaslighting relationship with an American is being forced to return to a Canada government where their abuse makes X look like a saint. July 8th, 2022, the day justice died in Canada. That is today, correct? Yeah. It might have died a long time ago. Oh, but there was a text message where she says, I don't want to make that decision alone about causing traffic, There was no traffic in Ottawa except in a 4-block area where there was traffic. And even then, there was a lane everywhere for emergency vehicles and for traffic. In fact, the lane there was such a lane that when I was documenting, a fire truck blasted through so fast the downtown 4-block core. It blasted through so fast, I said that was reckless, given the fact that there were protesters there. There was no gridlock in Ottawa. And a judge that takes judicial notice of the gridlock, I forget what the judge said he took judicial notice of, if it was gridlock or the fear of the citizens, both are wrong. So that judicial notice is either misinformed or a lie. There's no other way to say it. I hate identifying people this way or referring to them this way. I interviewed a trans individual protester. Wasn't scared. There were LGBT people flying the pride flag at the protest. They weren't living in fear. I interviewed citizens. They said it was loud. They said it was a bit of an inconvenience to get to work. One guy, after the stream, approached me and said, Viva, you're understating the inconvenience. This individual had to work on the other side of town. It took him much longer to get to work. It's like, I'm not understating it. I would have had you on live if you had come to me when we were live. But people were not living in fear. And the alleged arson incident, fake news. The alleged arson incident had nothing to do with the protest. The stealing the food from the homeless shelter, lies. Ooh, I like the way that echoed. Lies. No one stole food from a foodless shelter. None of the truckers stole food from the homeless shelter. The truckers were feeding the homeless. You just got in? What happened to Tamara? She's back to jail. I like your avatar. The convoy is the most inclusive event in this country to date. I interviewed a trans individual. I saw gay, lesbian individuals. I interviewed a Kuwaiti. I interviewed indigenous Canadians. I interviewed Hungarians, Venezuelans, Poles, Russians. I interviewed Black Canadians. I interviewed women. I interviewed pregnant women. The actual trial, I don't know when the actual trial is on the merits of the accusations. Next July 14, I think, if I understand the procedure correctly, is going to be the hearing on the alleged breach of the bail. This was just to determine whether or not she goes back to jail pending the hearing on her actual breach. And I talked about that earlier this week. All right, well, we'll get on to other stuff. I don't know. I'll rant forever. We'll get on to other stuff. Dude, you couldn't pay me to go to Canada. I'm not saying the U.S. is a good spot right now, but what the heck is going on up there? I reject this reality and substitute my own, which will be a hot tub in the street. Daniel Tavares, thank you. I hope you didn't mean to put a message in there, but regardless, thank you for the super chat. The look on your face breaks my heart. Are we able to send money to Tamara's defense? Freedom Convoy for Tamara. You are able to support Tamara's defense if you go to the JCCF, Justice Center for Constitutional Freedoms, jccf.ca, the website, the donate tab. And then it has various, what's the word I'm looking for? Various subjects, one of which is the Truckers Convoy Defense Fund. You can donate to that. And hey, Justin Trudeau, I just donated $500 to that last week, and I have a good mind to donate another $500 today. You can donate to the defense fund there. Whether or not it all gets used, I presume, even if it's not used, if it doesn't go for Tamara's defense, it'll go for another worthwhile cause that the JCCF is fighting for. What's the point in fighting when you know you're going to lose? At that point, it's like, you're staying on a sinking ship. A sinking ship, sorry. Does the USA offer political asylum? Carrie Lynn from Canada. I get the joke. And we have a new member, IWD. The International World of... I only had a negative thing. I don't want to make anything negative of your name. The International World of Delight. Viva, are all of those associated charges stemming from the phrase "hold the line"? I don't know if all of them are. Some of them are, from my understanding. Some of them also stem from, I believe, perjury for alleged false statements made during the first bail hearing. I think, or I might be getting mixed up with Pat King. Okay, IWD. Okay, well, there's nothing more to say. Make hay of this. I will choose to believe that this will change when public opinion mocks the fascist tyrant for the fascist tyrant that he is, and when public opinion mocks Canada for what it has become. It is an international outrage that Tamara Litch is back in jail now for mischief charges and alleged breach of bail terms, given the alleged breach. She didn't go out and start organizing protests. They're going to say, well, that's a dog whistle. She met with Tom Marazzo and she wasn't supposed to. She whispered in his ear. She whispered in his ear, let's go start another protest. This was also an attack on the group providing the award. This is a shot fired across the bow. You know what? I'm going to go disagree with you on that slightly. I don't think it's a shot across the bow of the JCCF. What I think is it's an attempt to sabotage the JCCF, because now Tamara Litch is going to say, JCCF, why did you give me that advice? You're my lawyers. You just got me into trouble. You just landed me in jail indefinitely. Now I'm going to sue you for malpractice. Now I'm going to go after my lawyers for malpractice. This is in the same way the government and the government propagandist mouthpiece, the CBC, wanted neighbors to snitch on neighbors, cause strife within the community, cause strife between council, Tamara Litch and her council. Create a situation where Tamara Litch could reasonably, in a different world where this might make sense, have a claim against her attorney. Ineffective counsel, giving her bad advice. if it were in fact bad advice. This is what I don't think they're saying we're coming after you, JCCF, because I don't think they would do quite that. Whether or not they might come out and say, well, we got to seize the money that you've raised for her defense. I don't even think they'll go there. This is to say, let's try to get Tamara Lich pissed off with her attorneys. Let's try to get her to go after her attorneys, mess up that relationship, make the JCCF look bad in that regard. So that's where I think they're going with this. Turn family against family, friend against friend. Turn individual against community and community against individual. Turn client against counsel and counsel against client. And govern the ashes of the fire that you've used to burn the country down. Okay, that's it. There's nothing more to talk about with Tamara. I mean, maybe I'll do a short video while fishing and hopefully try to catch a fish today. Okay. And I'm not ashamed. I feel guilty. You know, I've thanks for moving out of Canada so that you can be someone who will let the world know what is really happening here in Canada. Thank you. I've got my connections and I've got my law degree. What do we do now? Hold on. This is a serious question. What do we do now? You stay peaceful and you be as vocal as humanly possible about bringing this to the limelight of the national, international, global community. Not necessarily the WEF global community. This deserves ridicule, reprimand, and absolute international mockery at the highest levels of the most popular media. I can only think of Tucker Carlson because of the reach. I can only think of Steve Bannon because of the reach. I can only think of the people who actually reach a lot of the people. But you know, the biggest problem is you're going to have some people in there who still think it was egregious what she did. They crippled. You have to scream it loud for those who are listening, and you have to politely and respectfully nudge those who are not yet ready. And then you have to find a way to reach those who seemingly can't be reached. It's not spam. Everyone spam Tucker Carlson Twitter to report on this. Don't spam it. It's not spam when it's meaningful. Get him. Put it on blast. This is a damn joke. And Justin Trudeau. Okay. All right. I'm done. We're done with that. I apologize. We're gonna end that. Let's go back to the beginning. Something that might make us feel better, I guess, by comparison.
Flypaper. You keep.
So, well, I guess speaking of Tucker Carlson, sorry, perfect segue. I'm the worst person to take in my own advice, people. I'm going to give the advice knowing that I'm not going to take it anyhow. Deep breath. Don't lose faith. This too shall pass. Justice shall prevail. And there will be political hell to pay for destroying a nation in such a short period of time. The pendulum swings and it swings back. But don't become the monster that they want you to become so that they can then say, look what we have to do to protect ourselves from these monsters. Okay, back to Tucker Carlson.
You keep having sort of explicit white supremacists who have, on secret message boards who work for you, and you have to. I know this has been very painful for you in some cases.
I've never even met a white supremacist.
By the way, do you notice the loser thinks strategy? This is so. Just so we're clear on what's going on here. Tucker Carlson gave an interview with Ben Smith, who's a reporter for BuzzFeed News. So maybe he's a propagandist. He's a propagandist activist, fake news purveyor for BuzzFeed. I'm just being funny, but no, he is fake news, and he's totally disingenuous. But set that aside. Tucker Carlson gives an interview with this guy, and in the interview, This was just my favorite section of it.
Sort of explicit white supremacists who have, on secret message boards who work for you, and you have to. I know this is very painful for you in some cases.
I've never even met a white supremacist.
You have these folks. You have folks who, on secret message boards who work for you, and you have to. I know this has been very painful for you in some cases.
I know this has been very painful for you in some cases. That most people probably didn't hear that. You've got white supremacists, racists. I know it's got to be very painful for you. You see the tactic there, by the way, is to pivot from the lie of an accusation and then supersede it with something which they want to get him to respond to that, which is either, no, it's not very, it's either, yes, it's very painful for me, thus reaffirming the lie, or no, it's not very painful for me, thus reaffirming the lie underlying statement. It says, you got racists and supremacists following you. Lie. It's a lie. Does Tucker Carlson have any more racists or white supremacists following him than Hillary Clinton does her? I might think that one might have more than the other, and it might not be Tucker Carlson. Set that aside. Let's just say that in a population, you're going to have a-holes, racists, whomever you want, and they might watch Tucker Carlson. I got 500,000 subs on YouTube, over. The chances are that there's some criminals in there who watch me as well. Law of statistics. But if this guy were to say to me, Viva, you've got racists and white supremacists, as though that defines my content, and then moves on, lie, and then moves on to the, I know that's got to be very difficult for you.
Boards who work for you, and you have to, I know this has been very painful for you in some cases.
I know it's been very painful for you in some cases. So you either say, no, it's not painful for me in some case. It's not painful for me, which affirms the lie, or you say it is painful for me, which would be a stupid thing to say. Lie of a question, loser think of a go right after the intentions, the emotions, and try to slip past the lie. Pay attention to the tactic in general, people, because it's not, this is often used with liars. And it's often used with propagandists and people who want to state the lie and then pivot to a reaction on the lie where the reaction itself never actually addresses the underlying lie. But Tucker Carlson, whatever you think about him, you can't think that he's not smart.
I've never even met a white supremacist.
You have these folks. You have folks who have posted. You have a large number of people. Scott Greer, Blake Neff. I'm just curious why you've been so.
By the way, this interviewer accused Tucker Carlson of steamrolling people in the first minutes of this interview.
Sort of flypaper for these people on your staff.
You're not asking me a question.
That was the question. Why have you been flypaper for these racists?
I've never had a white supremacist work for me. I don't think I've ever talked to a white supremacist. Please let me finish.
And I don't want to fight about labels. White supremacists. Why have you been flypaper for these racists? And I don't want to fight about labels.
Can you imagine the level of insidious dishonesty and malicious smearing that has to go on in somebody's head to say you're followed by racists, white supremacists? I don't want to argue about labels. I just want you to accept the labels that I'm putting on you. I don't want to argue about them. I just want to make the accusations. Shameless, disgusting, just awful. But that's BuzzFeed News, or I guess the BuzzFeed individual. Was there anything else I wanted to add to that? No, just disgusting. But go. What did I say here? I forget my own thoughts these days. I don't want to fight about labels. I just want to call people names, the worst names on earth, names that eviscerate, publicly execute the character of an individual. I want to call them that. I want people to believe that they're that, but I don't want to fight about labels. I just want to mislabel things and then not fight about labels. Let's just say that there's 0 calories in regular Coke. I don't want to fight about labels. Just accept it. Accept my lies. I still can't get over I still can't get over the Tamara Lich. What else was there? Someone just said the world has gone insane. Hold on, where was it? Deceptive leftist. Where was that? Disgusting. I won't say leftist. It's a tactic. It's a tactic that even rightists can do. But here we go. The world has gone insane. Funky Blue. Shinzo Abe killed yesterday. The world has gone mad, and it feels like it could, it feels like it can be overwhelming. And in some senses, it is. In some meaningful senses, this is like, what do you do when the world goes this mad? I mean, do you just shut up and hope for another smooth day, a day of calm, just, one more day? I forget who said it, but he said, it's easy to tyrannize people because by and large, most people just want to live one more day in peace and security, even if it comes at the peace and security of the day to come. I had other stuff on the menu and I can't even remember what it was now. Let me just pull this one up here and then I'm going to go grab another article. I get you want to leave on a positive note with saying this too shall pass, but what can someone do in North Korea? Once they cross the Rubicon, options become limited. It's sad, but it's reality. Yeah, I mean, here's the question. What can they do in North Korea? Nothing. Do you think violence is gonna do anything in North Korea? I don't know. I don't know. Okay, let me just pull up the other stories of the day. What's going on here? Here we go. Sorry, guys. Oh God. Yeah, there was the Joe Biden had another. Hold on. Let's go. Now I got caught. I didn't get caught. I retweeted a tweet earlier this week in which it was alleged that Joe Biden put the Medal of Honor on someone's neck backwards, and it really looked like it did. And it's one of those circumstances where there's a great TED Talk on being wrong, and sometimes being wrong. Or in the TED Talk, the individual says, what's the difference between being wrong and being right? Until you realize you were wrong, nothing. Until you realize that you were wrong about something, there is no difference in your soul in being wrong or right. It's only when you realize that you were wrong that everything changes. So I looked at this video, saw a funny video. Oh my God, Joe Biden put the Sleepy Joe put the medal on backwards. And it really looked like he did. The medal was like collared up against the guy's neck. It looked like it was flipped around the other side. It didn't even look like there was anything more to that video that needed to be addressed in order to determine the accuracy of the caption, Sleepy Joe puts on the medal backwards. And that's the thing about being, sometimes you don't even know what you need to know that you're wrong. Turns out that's what the medal looks like. The guy might have had a bigger neck. And the thing was there, you just couldn't see it. But the medal looks that way. So I deleted that tweet or that retweet because I don't want to be the purveyor of, I don't want someone else making that mistake because of me. But what happened today? There's no way to work around this one, people. Listen to this.
It is noteworthy that the percentage of women who register to vote and cast a ballot is consistently higher than the percentage of the men who do so. End of quote. Repeat the line. Women are not without electoral and or political or maybe precise, not and or political power. That's another saying.
Okay.
You, the women of America.
Now here's another thing. I'm not doing this to placate any interweb gods. I'm doing this because I've made similar mistakes before. I've left voicemails where I say, "Hi, it's Dave. Give me a call back when you get a chance." New paragraph. And then it's like, oh my God, I just said new paragraph. Or comma. Give me a call, comma. I'm at home, period. I've done this. So ordinarily I'd give a pass if it were like, if it were normal, but this is beyond normal. But just appreciate what he just said. End quote, repeat the phrase, repeat the sentence.
Vote and cast a ballot is consistently higher than the percentage of the men who do so. End of quote. Repeat the line.
And he puts inflection. End of quote. Repeat the line. Because it's outrageous. But look at the guy behind him. Hold on, we need to get big for this. Look at the guy behind him.
The percentage of the men who do
the
so.
Guy,
end of quote.
That guy.
Repeat the line.
Look at that.
Women are not
is he trying to laugh or am I projecting? Look at Kamala Harris.
And or political power. That's another.
I think they're struggling not to laugh.
Determine the outcome of this issue.
Okay, let me just close this. It's I would forgive the mistake if it were the first, second, third, fourth, fifth. End quote. Repeat the line. It's Ron Burgundy. And when Ron Burgundy did it as a all-there individual for humor, it was hilarious, but it was an indication that Ron Burgundy had a clinical problem. This is just, it's not funny anymore in the sense that, hold on, what did I just do here? What did I just do? How do I go back to that? Oh, I can't. Home? There we go. I'll tell you what's not funny about this. I've mentioned it before and I'll mention it again. My grandmother she lived to 103, but had early onset, it was either early onset dementia at 80 some odd. So at that time, I don't think anyone knew that she was going to live another 23 years with early onset dementia. By the time she was 103, it wasn't early onset anymore. But anybody who's seen those eyes knows what they look like. This is what they look like. This is what those eyes look like.
Consistently higher than the percentage.
And I appreciate he's reading from a teleprompter.
The ballot is
But this is what the eyes look like for anyone who's had the experience.
Men who do so. End of quote. Repeat the line. Women are not without electoral and or political or maybe precise.
Everything about it is so patently. They diagnosed it was. I remember the diagnosis. It was early onset dementia at 80. It might have been 76. She was 76. 34. No, I was old enough to remember. So I don't think I would have remembered at that age. But anyhow, what's going on with Joe? It's not funny. It's not funny. This is beyond gaff machine. But that was not it. Let me see what the other thing. I'm sorry. I'm still a little. Oh yeah. Let's go. You want to talk about Pfizer has taken to political tweeting in the same way that the FDA decided to politicize their Twitter feed. Remember when the FDA said you're not a horse, you're not a cow, don't take horse medicine or whatever, you're not an animal, in response to the horse dewormer fake news narrative? Well, it seems that Pfizer has now taken the cue. The future looks brighter with science. If you don't believe in science, I don't even see you. Other than the fact that this is just not funny. This is, there's the old trope, the left can't meme. I don't see things as left and right. I see it as people with senses of humor and people who cannot formulate humor. I don't separate that left versus right, but there might be some correlation at some point in time, whatever. This is just not funny. This is just stupid. A cat with cataract sunglasses on. If you don't believe in science, I don't even see you. Well, here, first things first. You still see with sunglasses, you idiots at Pfizer. You still see with sunglasses. And by the way, sometimes science says that you should wear sunglasses to prevent cataracts, to prevent eye damage from UV rays and UVB, whatever, the UV rays. So it's just dumb. It's not funny. And it opens you up to some pretty obvious scrutiny. How do I close this? It opens you up to some pretty obvious scrutiny, Pfizer, given the fact that if you believe in science, you don't take 75 years to release the results of studies. Politics ruins everything. Politics ruins everything. Why? Why does politics ruin everything? Because politics is the fight for power and not the fight for truth. Politics is the corrupt pursuit of other ends other than the truth. And let's just see where my response. Because I'm in my own handle here. And as I said in my response to Pfizer, how many years do you require to release the results of your COVID trials? Hypocrites, liars, corrupt pigs you are. And I don't mean pigs in the animal sense. I mean pigs as in the gluttonous, profit-driven, dishonest people that Pfizer has either become or always was, but I just never knew it. Let's see what let's pull this out for 1 second and just. I agree. I said that when he first ran. My mom had the same eyes with her dementia. You recognize dementia behavior after you've been through it 1,000%. 1,000%. And but that's like, it's not funny. And it's not even say like, but he shouldn't have run. The question is not, but he shouldn't have run and did he get 81 million votes? The question is, who's actually making the decisions here? Who is making the decisions here? I missed. I'm just going to go here and do this. Okay. You mentioned facts about the open lane, safe and peaceful environment at pro-consent, anti-mandate protests. Why are the lawyers unable to bring this up in court? The lawyers are too timid. It's not the issue at hand for this particular case. That's the problem. But I cannot get over the judge. Did he say, what was the word? Takes judicial notice of this? I'm sorry. That's what an activist does. That's not what a judge does. Can't take judicial notice of things which are, if not at the very least, hotly disputed, to some extent overtly false. Judicial notice. And now what? Other courts are now going to be able to cite this judge's notice of judicial findings. It's not how the legal system is supposed to work. Sorry, Viva, I'm losing faith in humanity, but have hope karma will prevail in the end. I don't believe in life after death, but I do hope that there is cosmic justice for evil and cosmic justice for good that might go unpunished or unrewarded in this life. And no, people, that's not. Don't try to get me onto religion. It's not going to get me onto religion. That might make people. There either is or is not in the religious sense. In which case, believing in it is irrelevant. I just hope that there is some cosmic justice to punish the wrongs that go unpunished on this earth and to reward the goods that go unrewarded on this earth. Does law in Canada allow Simon of Cyrene actions? I don't know what that is. Where we carry the cross for Tamara. Can we volunteer to sit in jail for her for a week? Maj, thank you. Also, I'm not trying to call or anything or whatever, but seriously, this is insane. What is happening in Canada? It's atrocious. When your head is full, your body needs to do work. Go for a run. Shoot, I didn't go for a run yesterday. I will go for a run. Namsep, I'm going to go for a run today, but I walk around the days in Florida here and I repeat to myself, I don't know how many times I say it, one of two variations. It's either Billy Madison, it's too hot for a penguin to be just walking around, or Ron Burgundy, it's so damn hot. It's so damn hot. I never thought I would live anywhere where I would seek refuge during the day because of the heat. Even in Death Valley, I was looking to go for daytime activities. But Death Valley was a dry heat. This is humid, 35 degrees. It's too damn hot for a penguin to be just jogging around. So damn hot. But I will go for a jog later because I have also body image issues. And if I don't exercise, I feel unappealing to myself in the mirror. I don't want to use certain words that are improper. I get you want to leave on a positive. Oh, sorry. Okay. I got that one. Thank you very much. I'm not your buddy guy. How long till Viva Fry gets canceled for misinformation? It won't happen. I invite everyone out there. Oh, this is probably a joke because of the tweet about Joe Biden. I'll correct myself as I always do because I don't want someone else repeating something and saying, I saw Viva say it. And I invite everyone out there. If I ever say anything that is just, I will never make a mistake on purpose because I have that element of pride. Not in the bad sense. I just will never make a mistake on purpose. Sometimes I'll do something where I, speak too quickly or misspeak, or just don't know that good faith error. They happen. I'll correct myself. What was I just about to say? Oh, it doesn't matter. I'll correct myself because that's what actually lets someone know that they're dealing with an honest person. Is in North Korea, they don't even know the concept of freedom, so that is not the right comparison. And Mel Klomp, it's an interesting point. My daughter was reading a book. Headphones out of here. It was a futuristic, book about in the future they charge people for air. I forget what the book is called. And people don't even know that they're not free because they were born into a form of slavery. They were born into a form of control. They don't even know what it's like to not have to wear face masks. They don't know what it's like to be able to go to a concert because they just grew up with that not even being within the Overton window of reality. You got to bring that back. There's no easy answer. Some I don't know. I agree. I said that when he first ran my mom. Oh, okay, sorry. Okay, I got that one. Okay, an hour 35 minutes. Let's just get to a couple of other stories. Yeah. The Pfizer turning their Twitter feed into a joke. Okay, that was that. So I'm not showing this. I'm gonna just put on pause. You don't see anything in this video. The assassination of Abe does not make sense to me. The information as it stands now, it was not a shotgun, but it looks to be a homemade projectile device. Abe Shinzo was retired, but still retired for health reasons, but still politically active. And this was a political campaign. And apparently there are elections, if I'm not mistaken, shortly in Japan. The narrative as of now is that this individual was a disgruntled ex-military or ex-Navy, disgruntled with Abe's politics, concocted what appears to be a homemade projectile device. And it's unclear if Abe was struck on the first shot, but what's clear is that there's a 4-second delay, a good 4-second delay between the first bang and the second bang, where nothing happens. And I don't understand how even a retired politician, but one who is still politically active and on the campaign trail, has security that on the one hand leaves that individual massively exposed, and on the other hand also does not respond within 4 seconds of a loud bang. Some people say, well, Japan is so gun-free that people might have thought it was a, backfiring vehicle. Context. When Reagan was shot, security jumped on him and took the bullets for him. The fact this is a full 4 seconds where nothing happens in a situation where Abe was already massively and inexplicably exposed at a political rally, to someone who managed to get within that proximity. I don't care. It looks like a homemade projectile device. It still looks massively suspicious. So maybe Barnes has rubbed off on me, or maybe I just now see things the way I should have seen them a while back. Something doesn't make sense here, and we'll wait for more information. Okay. What else was there? No, that's about it. No. Let's go back to trusting the science people. I mean, this is like Twitter and the interwebs is going to be the diary of the end of reason, the end of science, the end of politics, and I hope I'm wrong, the end of Canada. This is Justin Trudeau. 2 pics in the same day, 2 posts in the same day. I don't know when the pics were taken, but contemporaneously. 4 hours earlier, sitting around a table not wearing a mask. 2 hours earlier, outdoors with Jane Goodall wearing a mask. And some of you might say, well, he's eating in the picture on the right, and so it makes sense. Which is why what's going on here? Cancel this. Which is why I made sure to follow it up with pictures, tweets from the same day. 8 hours earlier, indoors with people, no mask, no food. And what was the other one? This one. Outdoors with people, no mask. In fact, am I wrong, or is that not the same shirt that we see here? Certainly looks it. Hey, we're living through the end of reason. And the captain at the helm of this ship, at least in Canada, is Justin Trudeau. I am almost done. Okay. People, that might be my cue to exit. Let me just see if there's nothing else. Yep, that's like the nature's alarm clock. I think a kid needs to be... Oh, no, we're going to end on this. Al Sharpton. Al Sharpton came out talking. I don't even... You know what? I was going to make a humorous joke, but I don't want anyone even taking that out of context to say Viva spreading misinformation. Al Sharpton is talking about the arrest and continued detainment and the guilty plea of the basketball player caught in Russia for bringing in cannabis oils through vape, has been detained since February and now has pleaded guilty to the charges and looks like she might be going away for a very long time in Russia. But we're going to go and let's just hear what Al Sharpton has to say, because surely this clip was not about January 6th defendants. It was about Russia and its oppressive government, not the oppressive government in the States or of Washington more specifically.
We can't sit by and watch this person just sit there and in a 99% rate of convictions face 10 years in jail. We can't sit by and watch this person.
The music was in the background. I thought it was in the house. No, we can't just sit around and watch this person sit in jail in a jurisdiction with a 99% conviction rate and then go serve 10 years for an inconsequential crime, right? Of course not, unless they're January 6th defendants. When you tolerate injustice anywhere, you tolerate injustice everywhere. So that is it, people. I'll end it now. I saw a super chat that I'll keep on keeping on, brother. You're in the right place now. Ooh, that looks like that's a marlin. It's a beautiful fish, or it's a sailfish. That's a sailfish. That's not a marlin, I think, or it's whatever. They're all part of the same family. Just putting Al Sharpton's photo on screen is hilarious enough. So that's it. No, we can't just sit around and let people in jurisdictions where there's a 90+% conviction rate do serious amounts of time for non-violent, inconsequential offenses. Unless you're Canada, unless you're Washington, unless you're January 6th defendants or convoy protesters. But let's go focus on criticizing Putin for his judicial system and ignore our own, which is no better by comparison. Okay, let me see if I missed anything on the Rumbles, and then I'm going to go entertain a child who has been, that might be taken out of context. Entertain my child who has been more than patient. Oh, he's right behind me, isn't he? Okay, let's go. This is why I hate headphones. I hate headphones because I'm not aware of my surroundings with them. Okay, people, that will be my exit. I don't think I missed anything. The kid is rocking the merch. Okay, go get it here. I'll be there in a second. Did I miss anything on the Rumbles? I didn't. People, stay tuned. We're going to be back to live stream Sunday. I'm going to try to get some sound panels so the echo is better today. You want to go fishing?
Yes.
Boom shakalaka. People, enjoy the rest of the day. Keep the faith, although not keep the faith as in trust the plan. Be active, be vigilant, be proactive, be peaceful, be vocal. And put Canada on blast right now, political blast, for the massive injustice that we have had the misfortune of witnessing together today. What is that? That's a megalodon tooth. One of our favorites. I actually got this at FAO Schwartz. Oh, dude, you almost pulled my computer down. Oh, I know what he's got. Poop. He's got the fossil. This is called coprolite, people. Look at this. Look at this. This is, hold on, get it in focus. This is actual fossilized poop. It had a little knob there and a little knob there where it came out with a little, this is fossilized lizard poop. Okay, people, go. That's another kid in the back. Okay, I'm coming. See you soon, people. Sunday night and probably tomorrow. Enjoy the day. This too shall pass, but we will make it better.